Imagine a person commits a non-lethal assault on another person. The victim had previously been assaulted by a different perpetrator independently of the second assault, and that first assault was lethal but simply hadn't yet caused death. If the second assault in any way accelerates the victim's death, is the person who committed the second assault guilty of homicide, even though the second assault by itself was non-lethal? The Delaware Supreme Court addressed this issue in Oxendine v. State. Jeffrey Oxendine lived with his 6-year-old son, Jeffrey Jr., and Leotha Tyree. One morning, Tyree assaulted Jeffrey Jr. by pushing him into a bathtub. His fall caused microscopic tears in his intestines, leading to peritonitis. The next morning, Oxendine also assaulted Jeffrey, including injuring his abdomen. During the day, Jeffrey Jr.'s abdomen became swollen. By the end of the day, he complained of extreme pain and died shortly thereafter. Oxendine and Tyree were both charged with manslaughter. At their joint jury trial, the prosecutor called 2 pathologists as expert witnesses. Both opined that Jeffrey Jr.'s death was caused by intra-abdominal hemorrhage and peritonitis resulting from blunt force trauma to his abdomen. The pathologists identified 2 distinct injuries, one inflicted more than 24 hours before his death, and a second inflicted less than 24 hours before his death. The first pathologist testified that the first injury caused by Tyree was the underlying cause of death, and that the second injury caused by Oxendine aggravated the first injury. However, when the prosecutor asked whether the injury inflicted by Oxendine accelerated Jeffrey Jr.'s death, the first pathologist responded that he was unable to give an opinion about that issue. The second pathologist testified that he was unable to determine whether the first injury or the second injury caused the death. At the conclusion of the prosecution's case in chief, Oxendine moved for a judgment of acquittal, contending that there was insufficient evidence that his assault caused his son's death. The trial court denied the motion. A third pathologist, called by co-defendant Tyree after the prosecution had rested its case in chief, was asked by the prosecutor on cross-examination whether the second injury caused by Oxendine could have accelerated his son's death. That pathologist testified that the second injury could have accelerated the death. After all the parties rested their cases, the jury convicted both Oxendine and Tyree of manslaughter. Oxendine appealed to the Delaware Supreme Court.